Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever anybody is in the world. This is my friend Atif Perez. No, Perez. Um,
Hello.
hello. We are in the same mastermind group, and we have been
Yeah,
working with Dean Holland for, I have only been with him about 6 months, but Atif, you've been with him much longer, I think.
it's just over a year now, I think. Yeah,
Oh, boy.
yeah,
And as Dean has promised, it's not um $1 million overnight.
absolutely not.
Well, my point is, in saying that is,
Yeah,
these people who get online and say all these things about money promises is
yeah,
very, very disturbing, really, because it's not true.
absolutely. Yeah, no, absolutely. I've come across a lot of that. Um, your listeners and viewers have probably seen adverts and people pointing at different parts of the screen, saying how much money they earn overnight. And it's not that it's not possible. It's not really possible after watching one video and sending a link out. It's something you have to work at. You have to build up the business. You have to get your mindset right, which is, I think, what we're going to talk about today. And you have to work at it. But yeah,
Yeah, and you have to focus in on the one or two things that you're doing. As I think Dean had a wonderful mindset talk that he does every Monday morning. And I just think that we tend to get impatient and we tend to start
yeah,
hopping around. And I
yeah,
do too. I do too. And
yeah.
I
We all
know,
do.
yeah, exactly. Well, and
We all
then
do.
and then when things happen to disrupt our flow in terms of um change, any kind of change. And the thing is, change is a constant. It's not something that happens every now and then.
Yeah,
Um, in your situation, you have your father that you are taking care of in the midst of having a full-time job and changing jobs and all this kind of thing is,
yeah,
so I know that you have a very strong spiritual base, and you feel like that has helped you a lot.
absolutely. To be honest, without that, without my faith in God, I'm a Muslim. Faith in Allah and God. I don't think. Well, I don't know how else I would handle everything that goes on.
Yes.
Um, the strong belief is that God has a plan for us all. We're not in control so much as if all the circumstances that come across in our lives, illnesses, who you meet, when you meet, what happens, what opportunities you get. It's not something that we are directly in control of. We can't just wave a wand and suddenly what we want appears. You have to want it and ask for it and manifest it and treat people nice, don't sin, be good. And I think all those things collectively is how God rewards you with opening the doors that you didn't even know existed. So even though, yes, my father's ill, he's got dementia, the late stages of dementia. My mum passed away literally 2 years ago. She had similar issues. And my wife's, both of her parents passed away 2020, 2021, and my mum in 2022. So, my children have lost three grandparents in 18 months.
Mhm.
Now, you could say that's not fair, it's not nice, but we had them. They taught us so much. We got so much love from them. They educated us. They taught us how to cook. They taught us how to drive. They taught us everything, right?
That's
So we're
right.
lucky. We're blessed that we had them. We've got to look at we had them, not that we've lost them. Because also, from the religious point of view, um, our job is to get to heaven, right? And if you get to heaven and they also get to heaven, then you live together forever anyway.
Mhm.
So we have an opportunity. I have an opportunity to be with my mum forever if I do as God asked me to, and I'm good and I don't sin and all that kind of stuff. So that's the belief that keeps me going, because without that, I don't know what else I would do, because otherwise it would just feel unfair, or it become an emotional reaction to it, and then I don't know what I'd think or what I'd do. So it
Mhm.
keeps me grounded.
a very important thought that I just had. As
Yeah.
you live in the UK and I live
Yes, in London.
in the US,
Yeah.
two completely different perspectives on the aging in our country. And in your country, I think there's what you just described is more of how you view people who are aging. And you
Yes,
revere it and you respect it. And we don't have
absolutely.
that here. Everybody's talking about, just kind of throwing away the older people, or always talking about maintaining youth with Botox or facelifts or whatever.
Anti-aging creams and all that kind of stuff. Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Look, to say that, every Muslim's like that, every British person's like that, or every Pakistani's like that, that's not true, because it's down to the individual, and equally, I'm sure there's millions of people in America that are looking after their parents and
Right.
grandparents, being kind. So it's not, I don't think it can be as general as a country thinking that way, but I think it's maybe more in the East, where people are maybe have more faith or more religion, or more, they live together with their elders.
Yes.
In the West, there's very much, right, you're 18 now, go and live by yourself, or, husband and wife might just live on their own. It's very common in Europe. But we don't have that, because family isn't just two people. Family is grandchildren, children, parents, grandparents, uncles, aunties, cousins. Some of the best times of my life have been just fooling around with my cousins. We have so much fun. We laugh and laugh until we're crying. Why? Why do you want to not have that in your life? So, and grandparents are so important. I think the only people that can love you more than your parents, I think, are your grandparents.
Yeah. Right.
And I truly believe that a grandparent will do anything for their grandchildren. I believe. Unfortunately, I didn't have a lot of time with my grandparents. My dad's parents both lived in Pakistan. Dad came here to London in 1961
Mhm.
and just worked hard trying to build a new life for his family, which is what I'm trying to do with the affiliate marketing.
Yes.
Not that I'm ungrateful with the life I've got. It's just about making it easier and giving my children something in the future I don't want them coming out of university with debt and that kind of stuff. So we'll talk about that in a little while. So I didn't have a lot of time with my grandparents. When I was about 12 or 13, my dad's parents passed away within 2 years of each other. I only ever remember seeing them once, and I was about 3 years old. I do have a vague memory of seeing them. My my mum's dad died before she was married, so I never met him.
Mhm.
So the only one really spent any time with was my mum's mother, and that was in her later years when she came and lived with us, in the early to mid 90s, and she passed away in 1996. She got leukemia, cancer, and she passed away. But my children are very lucky. They had all four grandparents, and they spent a lot of time with them,
Mhm.
a lot. So we have to be grateful for what we've got, and it's wrong to think that so somebody's old, they've gone past their sell-by date or their best before date.
Yeah.
Old is gold. My mum used to say old is gold, because people used to say things about, this is old or that's old. So yeah, but old has experience, old has love, old knows what's right, knows what's wrong, old guides you. So people that think old people are irrelevant are frankly ignorant, in my book.
Right.
Um, you can learn so much from older people, especially life experiences and life lessons that you don't want to go around. You haven't got time to make all of those mistakes yourself. So why wouldn't you learn? Why wouldn't you learn from elder people that have lived and breathed it? That's kind of my view, anyway.
Yes. The your mother, and
Yeah.
I noticed I have a close family tie with a Muslim family, and in fact, I had a farmhouse that I sold the farmhouse to them.
Yeah.
Um, the the way they revere their mother, I do believe might be a commonality in your culture. Um, when I sit with my friend Faisal, he goes, he just talks about one time he was talking about his mother for several hours with me, and it was the most beautiful way that he revered her. And then his wife, they have a Moroccan restaurant at my old farmhouse, by the
Yeah.
way.
Yeah. Yeah.
She has erected a Moroccan Mecca at my old farmhouse,
Oh,
which
nice.
was old. It was really old, and now they painted everything in tapestries. And but her mother recently passed, and it was like it was very hard for her and her family. I mean, she really feels the loss. But I had the opportunity to meet her mother before she had some dementia issues. And it
Yeah.
was really a pleasure, really a
Yeah.
pleasure. I'll have to send you the picture I took of, well, somebody took
Yeah.
of myself and her. And it was just, and I love my mother, but it was a whole different thing. There's this tension. We were raised in the 60s when there was all this generational battle. And I don't know if you guys had that or not.
Absolutely. I think I think it's a misconception if you think that people that revere older people or have a lot of respect for parents don't have problems. Indeed, they do. We were all teenagers. We were all naughty children. You know, all got told off. You know, back in the 70s, you'd easily get a slap. A slap on the back of your thigh if you were naughty. So yeah, and parents can be quite scary as well, because there's that threat of, oh no, if I get in trouble, dad's going to tell me off, or mum's going to not talk to me, or you see your mum crying because you upset her and it hurts, right?
Mhm.
So everyone still goes through that. I think where it comes from is that, one, the culture of us all living together as a family. People in the West, they call it extended family. We don't call it extended. It's not extended. It's just your family, right?
Good point.
Yeah, it's more that the West is a shortened family rather than a extended. But again, we can't stereotype because there's lots of big families,
Yes.
in the West, all over the world. Anyway, so my point is, in the Quran, it says, heaven is at the feet of your mother,
Ah,
right? That doesn't mean literally, if you look under her feet, there's heaven. It means that look, what has she done for you, right? Her body physically changed for you to come onto this earth.
mhm.
She fed you. She stayed up all night with you. She, you know, went running after you at the school bus to make sure you got your lunch.
Mhm.
She sat up all night wondering where you were. Who does that?
Mhm. Mhm.
A mother, right? And that's where that comes from, because God is saying to us, if you want to go to heaven, you look after your mother. And on that was once this somebody asked the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, who should I give my respect to? I want to respect and revere people. Who should I respect? And he said, first, your mother. And then he said, well, who after my mother? He said, your mother. And then said, who after your mother? Your mother. And then father was fourth. Now, that doesn't mean fathers don't get respect. It's different. It just showed the importance and love that you have for your mother, because she's so important. And God put you two together. You grew inside of her. Just think about what that actually means. Babies are born every second. But just think about what that means. We grew inside the bodies of our mothers. We are part of them. Oh, your dog agrees as well.
Hey,
um,
hey.
so so it's very important about that love for mother.
Yeah, I think that must be where it comes from, what I was just describing. Come on, come here. Oh, okay. Um, yes, that's where it comes from, what you just described in the Quran, and people take that to heart. And
Absolutely.
well, and it's probably what you were raised with, that belief from the very beginning of your life. So that's beautiful. I think that in our country, we really do not revere. Well, as you said, you don't want to make these
It's
vast,
not everyone. No.
you
No.
don't want to make these vast generalities. And things change in the sense that from generation to generation, people are living more together, and they're taking care of each other, but not everybody is. So we have a lot of dysfunction in our society, and then there's a lot of dysfunction in families. And, you're born sometimes into a very abusive relationship, and that must
Yep.
be true in every culture. So,
Absolutely.
but of course, then we need to forgive. We need to learn unconditional love. And you do learn about people who have been raised miserably, and they go
Mm.
on to achieve great, not, great vision.
Yeah.
Because of their experience of abuse and trauma.
Yeah. Yeah. You just reminded me, just talking about mothers, then you reminded me of, I remember seeing a video of a David Letterman show. And there's an Indian actress called Aishwarya Rai. She was Miss World 1994 or something, and she's a big Bollywood actress. And he said to her, because she must have been in her 30s, and she's married and she's got kids, and he said, "Well, why do you still live at home with your mother?" And he thought it was strange that a woman in her 30s is living at home with her parents, because it's probably unheard of, or not many. It's not very common in the West. And he was kind of making fun of it. That, how comes you still live with your mother? She goes, "Well, that's the family home. We live and support each other." But what she did say, well, she said, unlike in America, we don't have to make appointments to see our parents, right? It wasn't seen as like, you're part and parcel of that family. Your mother, your father, your brothers, sisters. We don't have to, see them just at Christmas, or just once a year, or, I see my sisters every day. Doesn't mean, everything's perfect all the time, but I think family's very important, and that unit of, back in the old days, there was like, that Little House on the Prairie and the Waltons,
Yeah.
that kind of pure, innocent Christian kind of families. That's very similar to what Muslims are like in India, Pakistan. It's the same mentality. Family, God, pure, that's what, and I think that's missing. I think that's really missing in the world today.
They should resurrect the show with a Muslim family.
Yeah, there'll probably be so many people in it though.
Yes,
Thousand
the
episodes.
whole
Yeah.
town, the whole city. Yeah,
That's
the thing is, speaking of family, I believe even beyond our families of parents and sisters, uncles and aunts, that the whole world, the whole human race is our family. That's the way I always like to view,
Absolutely.
I get into an expansive mindset through meditation. That's the way I feel. I feel that.
Absolutely. I totally agree with you. And when you hear this thing saying, this race and that race, and the black race and the Muslim race and the Arab race and the American, no, there's one race,
Yeah.
and we're human, right?
The human race. Yeah. We
Yeah,
are all we are all
we're
connected.
all this. Absolutely. We all got the same wants and needs. We've all got blood going through our veins. We all need oxygen, air to breathe.
Yes.
Yeah, we still get hurt when we see a baby dying, in war. We all get hurt when, we see somebody crying. We all get emotional. Why is that person crying? We all have the same feelings. Just because one's in Ukraine and one's in the US and one's in Pakistan and one's in the UK, we're all human, right? And I think the problem is if any one group of people think they're better than another. And I think that's where the problem comes, with like arrogance and ego. But we're all human. We're all the same, right?
Yes. So
We're
your
all,
main emphasis in terms of the internet, excuse me, business is TikTok,
Yes.
and you're sticking with it.
I
You're
can't
focusing.
believe it. I can't believe I'm on TikTok. I never ever thought in my whole life I'd be on TikTok and getting the kind of views that I'm getting and the interest that I'm getting. I'm like, it's like I'm watching somebody else. It's just not in my head that really is that what I'm doing?
I
Yeah.
love
So
it.
yeah.
And so if people want to follow you on TikTok after watching this, are you simply Atif?
Yeah, it's
Perez?
Atif.Perwez. So it's Atif, ATIF dot or period.
That was
Perwiz,
nice. And that's P-E-R.
PERWIZ.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah, that was well, basically, as you know, part of our training for the affiliate marketing with Dean, we have to have a traffic source. We have to have an audience where we find like-minded people or people that are interested in, starting their own businesses, or they want to change their lifestyle, they want to improve, be able to, not worry about expensive bills and be able to do charity work or whatever else they want to do. But you need an audience, right? And one of the ways to get audience is organic traffic, which is free traffic. So social media, Instagram, YouTube, all this, which you're doing amazing on. So yeah, I kind of went with TikTok because it was just short, sharp videos and very high kind of viewing figures. And I really didn't know how to start, didn't know what to say. So I started making a list of like, I'll talk about this and I'll talk about that and I'll talk about this. And that lasted about 5 videos, because as you start creating videos, you start getting creative in your head.
Yes.
And then you just start finding opportunities to relate the situation you're in. I might be driving, I might be in a restaurant, I might be at somebody's house, I might be in the garden, I don't know. Something comes to mind, then I just make a video. For example, on Sunday, my wife said we need to go to the laundrette to the laundromat to dry some duvets and things. And I'm like, God, I don't want to sit there for an hour watching clothes dry. So we sat there, and I was watching the clothes going round and round and round and round. And I thought of a video. I've already posted it. So have a look. And it was about how, how Dean talks about your daily tasks that you have to do, how you have to do this every day and you have to post that every week and you have to review this every week, and it's mundane, daily, can seem quite boring. And that just reminded me of the clothes getting dried, going round and round. And then I just made a video out of it and I related it back to it. And it'd be good if you want to take a look at it one day, or if
I'll
your
take a
viewers
look. How
have a look
about,
at it,
did you get
give
a
me
lot
some
of,
comments.
did you get a lot of views and comments on it?
There wasn't a lot of comments, but I think it was about 300 or 400 views. But yeah, it was.
We are, above all, content creators. So there
Yeah.
is content creation at every juncture of the day and of the week and of the month. So we don't have to come up with mind-boggling content all the time. Although I think what we're doing here is good. It helps people to see things differently. It opens the mind.
Yeah.
It
Yeah.
helps, there's a cross-cultural thing here that I always love. And so content can actually grow on people over time. And that's why I like YouTube, because I may not get enough, a bunch of views at first, but the more, even I may not get subscribers all the time, but people are watching these videos, because you don't have to have people subscribe to you in order to see these videos.
Yeah.
I think that is a differing thing with TikTok. You have to have people subscribe, don't you, in order, or
They
does
don't
it?
need to. They don't need to subscribe. If the way you do your hashtags and like keywords, the way you place them into your video, the algorithm then finds people that are interested in those things, and then it kind of throws it out to them. But if you get lots of comments and lots of interest, and people start following you, it then starts to grow.
Yeah.
And if there's something that's a bit controversial or something that people want to really give their opinion on, because people love being opinionated about things. Those videos go crazy. Like there's one video I spoke about how car insurance is so expensive for young people. And I also spoke about childcare costs. And I was listening to the radio here in London, and there's this lady who said she spends, I think it was her whole salary on 4 children to put them into childcare, and it's only really her husband's salary that they actually live on. But then I said, well, what? Then I was thinking, well, why are you working if your entire salary goes? You're not spending time with your kids,
Yeah.
and then you're still spending that kind of money. Anyway, we spoke about this sort of stuff, and it was like 200,000 views. The car insurance one's still growing every day. I get more followers from that than anything else. Like 225,000 views, because it affects people, and we're talking about building a business that gives you financial freedom to then not have to worry about a lot of these costs. You know, if your car insurance is $3,000 or £3,000, if you can afford that, you're not going to be too concerned about it. It's when you have to think, well, I can't afford that because I've got 10 other things to do, then it becomes more of a problem. So if we can get
There's
ourselves,
there's a mindset. I can't afford.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
we can't think in those terms ever,
Exactly.
ever.
Exactly.
Go ahead.
Yeah. Yeah, and exactly, and that comes from the book Rich Dad Poor Dad. So don't ever say I can't afford it. Work out how can I afford it, and it's still your same brain, your same eyes, your same ears. It's still you, but just by saying I can't to how can I, when you say how can I, you start thinking,
Yes.
oh, but I could do this, I could sell this, I could do tutoring, I could I don't know, you know, I could do a cake bake sale, I could sell my car, things start happening in your head. Whereas
Yes.
if you say I can't, it's a dead end.
Yeah.
Finished.
Closed. Everything closed.
Closed. And that's the growth mindset and the fixed mindset, you know, which is really, really important lesson in
By saying I can afford it, or how can I afford it?
Yeah.
What you're doing is you're setting in motion a future that you can bring to you by constantly visualizing, and not constantly, but maybe 3 or 4 times a day, visualizing the life you want to live. Even though you may not be putting all this, you know, this hard work into whatever it is that you're doing. The hard work thing is also, it doesn't help with the flow of life or the flow of your projects. So everything is mindset. And I was listening to Bob Proctor last night. Are you familiar with him? I love that guy.
I haven't seen much. I haven't seen much of his stuff. But I will take a look.
Well, I subscribed to his YouTube channel, which of course he
Right.
has passed, but he was, he's just a delight. He was like the star of The Secret. You've seen The Secret, and but he says the same thing, that when you look at anything with that I can and I will, as opposed to I can and I won't, things flow.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Energy flows.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. And it's like, you know, there's so many people I know, family, within family and friends, that have a talent for something. You know, it might be baking, there might be an amazing baker, they might be really good at, you know, sewing clothes, or great at fixing you know, plumbing problems, or whatever it is. Everyone's got something. We've all, you know, and your listeners are probably thinking, well, I haven't got something. Just write down, get a piece of paper and write down 1 to 10, and write down things that you're good at, and you'll be amazed. You'll go beyond the 10.
Yeah.
Right. And any one of those things you could make money from if you built some kind of business. Right. And I think that the quote I wanted to say was like, you know, people don't put in that effort to build a business because it's it's too hard, it's too risky. What if it doesn't work? And so, you know, we're not willing to put in 3 years of work to build something, yet we're happy to spend 40, 50 years working like dogs for a corporate company.
Right.
And collecting tax for the government.
Right.
And that's okay, is it? But you don't want to put in 2-3 years so that you can be the boss.
Yeah, I
And
know.
that
Quite
is
confused.
purely down to you. That's your own fault if you don't do that. It's just pure mindset. You're happy to collect tax via a corporate job, working 9 to 5, following orders of a boss you don't like, 9 to 5, or do you want to be your own boss, work a couple of hours a day, do the charity work you want, go on the holiday when you want, buy your spouse whatever you want, make sure your kids don't get in debt at university. I know that's what I'm trying to do. It's not
Well,
easy.
is university free in the UK or no?
No, it used to be when me and my sisters were going through uni in early mid-90s. The government used to pay the fees for every single student.
Mm-hmm.
Not anymore. It's £9,000, which is about, what's that?
Maybe
11,000, $12,000 per year.
per year.
And
Yeah.
some of these degrees are 3, 4, some of them are 5 years.
Yes.
And nobody's got that kind of money. So they have these student loans. And these student loans have very small interest charge on them. And you don't have to pay it until you've left uni and you've got a job that earns a certain amount of money. And then you start paying it. But what that means is there's people in their 30s still paying off their student loans.
Yeah, we have had a forgiveness, recent forgiveness of student loan thing happen here, thanks to President Biden. He has done a lot of the things he has done is being downplayed because we are in a very contentious race here in the US. However, people are grateful for this student loan forgiveness. And it probably is more applicable to community college as opposed to the highfalutin university, big Yale, Harvard, or whatever.
Yeah.
Yes, we have to realize that the people we vote these people in, and we expect them to do for us what they said they were going to do. And in this country, they are, when they take an oath of office, all of the politicians, they are taking an oath to the Constitution. And as you know, the Constitution of the United States, the Constitution was pretty much degraded on January 6th by that insurrection that happened. And I can't, many of us cannot believe that these people are still in power. Because they should be. Well, we're going to have to vote them out. That's all.
Yeah, it's funny, just like here on the other side of the pond. It's just funny whenever there's an American election, we get a lot of coverage here in the UK. And we just find it hard to understand that a country like the US, with hundreds of millions of people, clever people, amazing people, the candidates are what we actually end up with, people like Biden and Trump and Hillary Clinton and all the others, and they say, is that the best? That's not the best you've got. Where are the best?
Yes.
And it's thinking, unfortunately, because it's politics, it's all about who shouts loudest and who's the best marketer and who gets the most publicity, and Trump's always going to get the most publicity. But it's a shame because there's real problems that need fixing and nobody's fixing problems.
It should be pretty obvious by now that Mr. Trump is not offering any kind of agenda at all.
Yeah.
So that should be, hopefully people can see through this charade.
Yeah. And it's the same here. We've got a general election next month on the 4th of July. It's actually on your Independence Day. So yeah, we've had the Conservatives for, I don't know, 17 years, 14 years.
Is there any hope of
No, they're definitely going. There will be a Labour government on the 5th of July, because we've had 5 prime ministers that we hadn't voted for. They just kept changing leadership. And they've completely messed up the country with Brexit. The taxes have gone up. You know, the roads are in a state, the hospitals are in a state. People have got less and less money. Taxes are up, so they're gonna. There's always a revenge, isn't there? There's like, well, you're not looking after me, so I'm going to get you out of government. And I'm pretty sure that the Conservatives will go and Labour would come in. But to be honest, they're not going to be any different.
I knew you were going to say that.
They're not, though, are they? Whatever government you get, are they really any different? No, they're not. People are still poor. People still have too much tax. The crime rate's still high. Schooling's still difficult. Health is still a problem. World wars still go on. And it doesn't matter who's in the White House or who's in number 10.
Yes,
difference
so here you can insert the valuable insights of mindset, because we can't be happy based on what these guys are doing. And they're all puppets. So we cannot be happy because of anything that goes on outside of ourselves. It's an inside job.
Yeah, and you know, so again, all of this stuff is mindset. You know, yeah, very, very important.
It is, and I love it. I love this conversation. So what are your plans going? Oh, I wanted to talk about our mastermind group and how
Yes.
a mastermind is.
Yes.
Because I think we have about 5 or 6 members, and any one of us could have strayed completely off the path, but we brought ourselves back. Is he okay?
Can you just give me 1 second?
Of course. Atif is taking care of his father, who is not well. And so this is part of what he is doing. He has taken on this responsibility, which he would do because he's a great person. And I think there's a certain amount of mindset that goes with not allowing the ageism in this country to affect our lives. We can't allow the mindset of, you know, you're going to lose your memory, or, you know, you're going to fall and break your hip and die, or any number of different things. You're going to have a heart attack. I'm just saying that I'm just rambling here about how in this country, we fall to the negative thoughts about aging, you know, the mindset of losing our minds or falling and breaking our hips, and, you know, all these things that we do have control over.
Yeah, and I think a lot of what we end up as is a consequence of how we lived our life. You know, the diet, the exercise, the negative mindset. And I think all of these things have an effect on you. You know, disasters happen in people's lives that affects you mentally. And then this is another really important mindset thing, which I think a lot of people in my family definitely suffer from, is that they live in the past. They live for a time that's gone, for when they were happy. It might have been when they were a child. It might have been when mum was alive.
Yeah.
Yeah. And like my sister, my younger sister, she's very much like, she definitely lives in the past because that was a happy time for her. And now mum's gone, that happy time's not there. And she's craving that time when she was, but mum's not here and she's not going to be here. So what do? Doesn't mean you stop missing mum. Doesn't mean I don't miss my mum. It means I'm now going to do what I can to create more happy spaces, more happy times coming in the future. I'm not going to forget the past and how fun it was and how nice it was, but you can't drive looking in the rearview mirror.
No.
You drive. Why is the windscreen on your windshield, you call it, so big? Because that's what you're doing. That's what you're focusing on. That's where you're going. You don't drive in your rearview mirror. You just glance at it to see how far you've come. But you don't drive looking backwards.
Yes.
And you mustn't live your life looking backwards. The only time you should look back to say, wow, we've come a long way. We've done well.
Mm-hmm.
This time last year, our business was, this big. Now look, it's that big. That's
Yeah.
the only time you should look back. Not,
Yes, to take
yeah,
an evaluation of
yeah,
your life, and that's important to pause and to reflect and to contemplate and slow down so that these things can be done more thoroughly.
yeah, absolutely. So it's really important that you live for the future.
Oh, I agree. Live for the future in the present moment.
Yeah, yeah. And what you do today is going to affect your future.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. If you say
Things
you
you do,
can't, yeah, if you say you can't, then you can't. But if you
yeah,
say you can, you will do it.
yeah,
It is an
yeah,
act of will.
yeah,
And all of this feeds into the will to live too. The will to live is enhanced the more that you elevate your emotions to gratitude, love, unconditional love, and forgiveness. You are creating a will to live, which is what this is all about.
exactly. Yeah. And that goes back to the whys, why are we doing what we're doing?
Mm-hmm.
It's really important to, when you decide to build a business or work on something, why are you doing it?
Yes.
And my favorite question in the world is why.
Yes.
You get lots of people that they ramble on and, oh, I'm going to do this and I'm the best at this and I do this and I do that. And they just say these statements all the time. And if you ever just stop them and say, why?
I love it. Yes.
And they just go, because it's just, they're just conditioned to this, their ego. I'm the best and I'm this and I'm that. Okay, why? Tell me why. Oh, you shouldn't do this because why? And they
Yeah.
don't go silent because it's just habit. It's just what they've heard from their family and their family for generations. And they're just regurgitating mindset from 50, 60, 70 years ago that has no relevance today. And all you've done is regurgitate what your grandma did.
Yeah. Yeah.
But it's not relevant today. So think about now. How tell me logically why is that relevant now? Oh, it's not, right. Let's stop mouthing it off about about it. So why always stops everybody, because you have to be honest. You have
Yes.
to, it makes you be honest.
Yes. And as we were talking about the mastermind,
Yes.
I believe that masterminds are good for everybody. Well, people need to gather together and share projects, and then that it somehow feeds into a creative idea that you never know what that idea, where that idea will lead. And
Yeah,
it's
absolutely.
it really is very creative. So that you have to have the time to do that. And by taking time for these certain things, like reviewing your life in terms of moving forward, in terms of the future, expands time. But when you're freaked out about everything, everything contracts, you don't have enough time, you're always in a hurry, you miss things because you're not taking, you've lost awareness of the present moment. But you can always
Yeah.
bring yourself back.
And I think having that support structure of the mastermind group's amazing, because we've all had days where we've felt like it's not working, I feel like giving up, or I got these terrible comments from people on TikTok. And I'm like, that's not the reason why I did this.
Yes.
And then by talking to others within the group, they're like a support structure. They're like scaffolding around a building, and they
Yeah.
stop you falling.
Oh,
They encourage you. They encourage you. So no, you're not giving up. No way, I'm not going to let you. And that, having that brotherly, sisterly kind of support is, you couldn't pay for that. It's incredible. So I'd say to all your listeners, anybody that's, try and find people that are like-minded like you, stick together, work together, help support each other. And there's another mindset thing where people become, if they let their arrogance and their ego get ahead of themselves, they want to keep secrets and things to themselves. like tips and tricks on how to do well in the business. People
Yeah.
keep it to themselves. Don't do that. You're not going to fail, or you're not going to lose out because you helped somebody else.
And whatever idea you have shared, that
Yeah.
person will take it in a whole different way and
It's a
create
different
something
way.
completely different.
There's a different face to it. There's a different position to it. They might do it in a different way. Again, going back to Islam, the Prophet, peace be upon him, said, you should always wish for your brother what you wish for yourself.
Mhm.
So if I want to do really well at, I don't know, it could be anything, gardening, and I find some really good tools that help me do the gardening, I should be telling all my cousins and friends and colleagues that if you want to do this, so you've got these weeds and you can't get them out, you can get this tool. I'll send you the link. There's a you tell people, don't you? You sort of encourage them, you help them, right?
Yes.
And you do that with your business as well. You don't give away personal things, but if you come across a book that's really useful. Now, how many books have we shared in the group? Hundreds of different
Oh,
books.
I know.
Right? Yeah, tips and tricks on how to do this and how to do the marketing, and how to do your email lists. And everyone's shared with each other. Don't keep it for yourself, because if you help others, life helps you.
Yes. It's so true that being helpful, kind, and that's what I find a lot of the climate online is like that. So
Yeah.
we help each other and we move forward together. And to think that you have to hold in something that could help other people because you think they're going to get ahead of you. Well, for that brings up the mindset of not comparing yourself to anybody else. That's so
Yeah.
important, looking to
Mm.
see what they've done or thinking I have to do it their way.
Yeah.
No.
And there's been times when I've been worked up about something, and then on our WhatsApp group, I've obviously got the time difference with where we are. So just before going to bed, I might just send a message to the group saying, look, I'm not sure about this. What do you guys think? And obviously I then go to sleep. America's still awake, and you guys are all talking about it. And when I wake up in the morning, one of you's given me a solution. It's amazing.
I love it.
It's great,
Mastermind people. And don't feel like you're all alone, because the only reason you're alone is because you've put yourself there, and we all need each other. That's for sure.
Definitely.
So I
Definitely.
think that we can, my projects going forward is YouTube, and I'm going to focus all my attention on there. The email thing, I'm just not quite ready for it, although I'm studying it. I'm trying to create my own voice in these emails. And somebody said, well, pretend that you're a very wise and loving aunt or uncle and that's the way you speak to your audience. And that makes sense. So.
Yeah, I think absolutely. I'm at the same position. These emails are difficult because they're so important.
Yes.
The messaging, the tone, what you say, the way it comes across is very, very important. And because you get bombarded with emails all the time, you've got to make it genuine, open, transparent, real. Not like a lot of emails are just, if you want this, do this. If you want that, do that. Who comes up to you and talks like that? You don't walk into like a hardware store. What do you call it? You have Home Depot. Home
Depot, yes.
Yeah, we have a B&Q here. You don't just walk in there and say, oh, if you want the whitest walls in there, use this white, use this paint, use it. It doesn't work like that. You've got to look at what is the problem that somebody has.
Yes, and how can I help?
How can I help you fix that problem?
Solve the problem, yes.
The mechanisms on how you do it is irrelevant.
It's the heart. It's the heart.
It's the desire, the heart, the kindness, that somebody's there to hold my hand and help me. That's what's important. The mechanism, they're just mechanics. That's just how you do it.
Yes, and you can get help with that. People
Yeah.
think that they have to do it all by themselves. Figuring something out, it takes hours sometimes to figure it out.
Yeah, like in my current job, I'm a consultant. We do process improvement for clients. And everything that we're judged on is a target or a percentage. You know, how many sales did you get into the company? What's your working percentage? Everything's a number or a percent. You're measured, everything's a number. And the problem with that is if you focus on targets, you don't get change. If you
Yeah,
focus on change, you'll achieve your targets. So it's really important you focus on the change of behavior, attitude, and things that you do that allow you to get from A to B, which is your current state and your future state where you've dealt with that problem. To go from to remove problems, you have to change something. If you don't change, then nothing's going to change. And you know my favorite saying, don't expect different results from doing the same thing.
right.
Right? People want things to be better. They want their life to be better. They want more money. They want their business to work. But nothing, you're not changing anything.
Yeah,
And if you don't change anything, then don't expect results to be different.
yeah,
So important that things have to change. And people are scared of change because it's uncomfortable. But then without change, the biggest, best, amazing things that have ever happened in our lives wouldn't have happened.
right.
Imagine what it was like when the motor car came out. And the first time somebody saw this horse carriage without a horse with some wheels on it,
Yes.
smoke coming out the back, and then making these loud noises, going 4 miles an hour, and they were scared and they were running away from it. And in the UK, when the car first came out, and it was 4 miles an hour, you had to employ a man to walk in front of the car with a red flag, waving ahead that there's a car coming, right? And now look at us.
I know.
Millions and millions and millions of cars. We've got electric cars, and we've got hybrid cars, we've got petrol cars, we've got diesel cars, we've got 200 miles an hour, we've got flying cars, we've got helicopters, right? It's all change. Life, what we're seeing in our lifetime, most of the world never, ever, ever saw.
Yes, that's right.
They just saw horses and carts.
So
for
change
thousands-
is just change is part of life, and we have to embrace it. That's my feeling of this whole conversation, that change is going to happen and is happening constantly.
Yeah.
And you can't hold it back.
Yeah. You have to embrace it and learn how to navigate it. Don't avoid it. Because if you avoid it, you're going to get left behind.
Yes.
Or you're going to get into a position where you won't be able to catch up, or you'll be too scared to even try.
Yes.
And what's the worst that's going to happen? It won't work. So what?
Right.
Tweak it.
Yes.
You know, tweak the plan, but don't change the goal.
Yes. Get back to the drawing board.
Yeah. Yeah, it's okay. If it didn't work, then don't worry about it. You just found 10,000 ways it didn't work. So what?
Yeah.
But the 10,001 time may work.
I know. That's so true. And it's just the way to approach all of life.
But I think that comes from our school systems, I think. This Victorian school systems that we all work in, like, you know, you mustn't fail, things have to be right, you know, this is the whole target thing that I was talking about. It's seen as a failure. If you don't get 56% or you don't get 79%, if it's less than that, then you failed. Well, so that means I'm now a useless human being? Am I now thick and stupid? What, because I didn't get a number that some people decided in a committee that if I don't get that number, then I can't go to Cambridge?
Yeah.
Okay. So then what? I'm now stupid because of your measurement system. And it's like that saying, I think it's Chinese saying, if you judge a fish on its ability to climb a tree, that fish will always think it's stupid.
Yeah. This sounds like a good TikTok video.
Yeah, I think I've done this one actually. There's it's not a fish's job to climb a tree. So why are we judging children in that way? Why are we judging people in that way? Right? So we should find what children are good at and give them the resources to excel at that thing that they're good at.
Yes.
But we don't. We make everybody beige, everybody vanilla, everybody's everyone has to do English, everyone has to do French, everyone has to do science, everyone has to do history, everyone has to... Why? Why do
Right,
we all have to do everything? We
because
don't.
no, there's this idea that we all have to do, we have to compete, and we have to try to get ahead of the next guy or gal. You know, it's ridiculous. But that is the way the world runs, and we are not going to take that mindset into our hearts. That's all.
And I think it's up to us and your viewers and my viewers to think about what we're talking about, because, you know, the ones who are a lot younger than us, I hope they take this on and start thinking about, pondering about what we're talking about, so that they start making those changes in their mindset now, before they have children, before they get married, before they have a big job, so that they can apply this. You know, this isn't just about a business. This is about how you should think in life,
Yes.
because it will help you. Because it's really important that you control. I keep coming out with all these statements like, don't let anybody else control your heart and your mind.
Mhm.
Not
Yes.
your boss, not your boss, not your, you know, the government, not a committee, not an examination board. You control your mind and you control your heart,
Mhm.
and use them both to add value to people.
Yes.
And when you add value to people, they'll know you, like you, and trust you.
And it's sometimes a little bit of a long slog, but it's worth it. To wake up every morning with this excitement of a new day and getting on board to create for other people. And that's the way to approach the day. Each day is a new life.
Yeah. And when you wake up in the morning and you get out of bed, you decide what mood you're in.
Yeah. That's right.
People play the victim and say, I'm not feeling good today. I'm having a bad day today. Well, none of us can control your heart and your mind. So you're allowing things that you've heard and the way you've reacted to things, you're allowing that to give yourself a bad day, and you're then going to probably make bad decisions.
Mhm.
Because it's usually, you'll find people react, they overreact to things. There's too much emotion, you know, reaction to things. Yeah, the problem's only 10%, but the reaction's like 90%, you know. So let's stick to the 10%.
Yes.
Let's
And
work out
breathe.
how to fix that.
Breathe.
Let's not add, you know, gallons of fuel to the fire,
Yeah.
make this huge fire, and now, like, what do I do now? Well, half of that you created yourself.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it might sound harsh what I'm saying, but I include myself, we create most of our own problems.
Well, we have to take responsibility.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Don't say it's not fair, you did this to me, she said this to me, he did that to me.
Yes.
Okay, fine. What did you do? What didn't you do? What should you have done? Why didn't you? Do that first. Work on yourself, because you can't change others. It's hard to change others. You can change yourself.
Yeah.
So change yourself first, and then worry about anyone else. Don't worry about if you can change something, change it. If you can't, don't worry about it.
If you can't, change yourself.
Yeah. Yeah, some things you won't be able to change about yourself. Okay, then don't. Leave it as it is, but work on the stuff you can change.
That's the serenity prayer. And in order to find your peace of heart and mind, you do have to let things go all the time. Let it go,
Yeah.
let it go, accept everything, you know, and move forward.
Yeah, there was a time where I used to react to everything. I used to think, oh, that's not fair. You know, he's got this, why haven't I got that? And I'm like, well, how I could stop that.
Yeah.
You can go to counseling, you can see the doctor, you can pop some pills. It's not going to go away.
No.
And if everybody in the world took responsibility for their own actions, call them mistakes, whatever you like, doesn't matter. There's nothing wrong with making mistakes as long as you learn from it.
Mhm.
It's not, there's no such thing as failure because it's just a learning.
That's right.
And
It's a
correct.
life is a school of learning. I took that to heart a long time ago, and I believe it.
And none of us have lived life before, have we?
Well, we might have, but not this life.
Yeah,
Not this life.
yeah. I, what I'm doing now, I haven't done this before.
Yes.
You haven't done this before. So to expect it to be perfect all the time, all you're going to do is make yourself ill because perfection doesn't exist.
Mhm.
But you constantly try to get there, but it doesn't exist.
Everything's changing.
Yeah, because it all changes.
Well, listen, I've enjoyed this thoroughly, and I think we make a good team, so we'll have to do it again.
Yeah, happy to. Yeah.
Thank you.
No, thanks for your time, and I just want to say for you, your videos and the rate at which you create them, how innovative they are, how creative they are, is amazing. You're quite an inspiration to the group in terms of your video content. Your YouTube channel's really growing, which is amazing. So I need to learn from you when I eventually
I need to
do
learn
one.
from you also because I do learn from you actually. So yes.
Yeah, well, this is it. Exactly. We'll just all learn from each other and help each other. But thank you so much. And I hope your listeners got some value out of today. And let us know in the comments if you want to do more. And we could do, tell us what topics you want to talk about. We could talk about all sorts of things.
I know. I think it's wonderful.
Yeah, we could have our own podcast, couldn't we?
We could. Now there's an idea. Well, this is a
Yeah.
podcast, really.
Well, this is, but yeah, I think it'd be great. It'd be great to do one in person. But you're in America and I'm in the UK.
It's
So
only 5 hours. No biggie.
it's only 5-6 hour flight. Yeah, we'll sort something out one day.
Thank you.
Let's see how it goes. Take care, everyone.
Bye-bye.
See you later. Bye.
Start focus, caption, stop recording.